Mr. Sinabo Tambo of the EFF. Let me just get my position. Thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us today. I'm just going to get straight into the US question with you first, because the EFF has a lot to say about the current narrative out there in the US about what's happening in South Africa. What are you hoping to hear come out of the meeting this afternoon?
Look, as the EFF, we have taken note of the current dealings that are happening as it relates to the Starlink enterprise of Elon Musk, where we're hearing rumors that there's been assurances that there'll be a workaround for Starlink to operate in South Africa outside of the regulatory requirements that have been put in place by ICASA. Now, this is a bad sign and signals that this meeting is actually a meeting where Cyril Ramaphosa is going to make assurances to the President of the United States outside of a legislative mandate from Parliament. He's going to make assurances as it relates to the Bella Act, to the NHI Act, and to the Expropriation Act, which does not have powers to do so because he has allowed himself to be summoned to come and clarify what is happening in South Africa in terms of a non-existent genocide, but also to make assurances that he doesn't have the powers to make as well. The inclusion of Johan Rupert in his delegation is a telling sign, because Johan Rupert has been someone who has been consistently opposed to land expropriation without compensation, and now that the Expropriation Act allows that as a constitutional instrument, he's going to go there to say that it will never happen, and he's the biggest benefactor of unequal land processes in South Africa as well. So we're very skeptical. We expect him to be humiliated, but we are going to hold him accountable when he comes back if he makes any unlawful assurances there.
Back to our budget then. Obviously, you're looking for the pro-poor budget. Your concern is obviously the most vulnerable in society. What do you want to hear come out this afternoon?
Look, the first thing we want to hear is what is the stimulus that is going to be put into the budget to ensure that there's job creation. A lot of the conversation around the budget process this year has been around the VAT increases, which the EFF successfully defeated in Parliament and in the Western Cape High Court. So now we want to hear what is the jobs plan that is going to come from this budget. But critically, we are opposed to any austerity measures. So a lot of the narrative that is going around, and I read quite a disturbing article this morning on the Sunday Times, where Songezo Zibi and Musi Maimane say that we have no option but to cut spending on health, infrastructure and education. That is not true. They led a process where they were claiming a victory that the VAT increases were scrapped due to their intervention and proposals for alternative mechanisms to generate revenue. Where are their proposals? Why are they now coming out to say we have to cut spending on critical frontline services? So we are going to oppose that. We are going to ensure that the approach by the National Treasury and the fiscal framework that is going to be proposed, and revenue proposals as well, are amended in the Standing Committee on Finance to ensure that the tough fiscal decisions that need to be made do not disproportionately affect the poor. If we're going to make tough decisions, they must impact the corporate sector, which has been absconding on its duties to invest in the South African economy. We must fund SARS to ensure that we curb illicit financial flows and recover the 800 billion revenue that is being lost by companies shifting profits to other nations. And we must introduce a once-off wealth tax to apartheid trusts which accumulated wealth before 1994 and hid that wealth in those trusts post-democracy. So tough decisions must be made, but they must not be made at the detriment of poor people.
Thank you.